The trail is hard. It'll test your body and your will to wake up and hike each day. Physically, it will challenge your limits, but the ultimate hurdle to overcome is yourself, your mind. Your body will adapt and become strong in the backcountry if you have the tenacity to let it. But when you're sitting in your tent or your sleeping bag at night with another 100 miles ahead of you before the next town, completely exhausted and missing your loved ones, do you hit the SOS button or do you dig deep and stay? What if you haven't seen another hiker in a week and it's only been you hiking with yourself and the Joshua trees of SoCal? What do? I want to give some detail on types of challenges we faced on our PCT Thru-Hike in 2022 and the mental barriers we had to overcome to cope with those issues. To preface, my wife Marie, aka Basecamp, and I are both hikers and ultra runners. Very competitive. We've had to live in the quote-unquote pain cave often when on training or competitive runs. It's just what happens when you've been running all day for 30 plus miles. Your body starts to hurt, your emotional walls crumble down, and you either deal with it or you don't. If you don't, you may not finish. Ultra runs are extremely similar to thru hiking. One is just quick and done after a day or two, while the other drags on for months. Both are endurance activities in their own respects. You endure things physically and mentally. From my point of view, there are 4 big mental challenges you'll face at some point on a long-distance trail. Not specifically the PCT, but any long trail. These mental hurdles deal with the physical, the environmental, the social, and the intrapersonal.
Yeti Legs with his blog with the trek. So thanks, Wesley. Hand clap.
Hand clap, hand clap.
That was the intro, actually.
It was the intro. It's called Uphill Battles, Mental and Emotional Challenges of a PCT Hiker.
And we'll put the link to that in the show notes. So if you'd like to read the entire blog post, then you can do that there.
Yep. The write-up comes in part 1 and part 2, so you can easily break it up.
It's pretty good. We've decided we're going to dedicate this episode to all of the 2023 thru-hikers who are starting this year.
All the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and the youngins.
Yes, whether this is your first, your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth, your sixth, your seventh, your eighth, your ninth, your 10th, because we met people out there who had been doing this a long time. We just want to dedicate this to you because it is the beginning of the season right now. I mean, there's a lot of posts on Facebook, Instagram, pictures of everybody starting that's coming up and gear loadouts and...
Oh, the social media energy is practically vibrating.
Booming. So so we just want to dedicate this episode to you. We are taking a pause from telling you our story to give this to thru-hikers who are about to begin. We wanted to talk about Wesley's blog.
Yeah, so really not about gear or food prep or shakedowns or anything like that, but really dealing with the core component of your thru hike, and that's you, and how you address and handle situations that you come across on trail.
We're going to actually talk about the 4 things that he mentioned: the physical, the environmental, the social, and the interpersonal.
Yeah.
So let's begin.
First, I want to say, freaking be careful out there. California, and I'm sure Washington, has received a monumental dump of snow. So if you're starting your hike in early March, just be mindful to take the proper equipment with you. Know before you go. That is the big key slogan to avalanche awareness here in Colorado.
Yeah.
So do some research, check out the snow levels in the areas that you're going to be hiking. And even in Mount Laguna, very beginning of the PCT in SoCal, you could have several feet of snow there.
Tons of snow. Our hike was so different last year than this year. And I would even encourage, if you're a hiker who has never dealt with snow in your entire life and you're about to start the PCT, I would be very mindful and don't go out there by yourself if there's a lot of snow. You do have to take legit snow gear, snow clothing right now until it melts. It's the biggest takeaway right now, starting March 1st and probably the next week or so.
Yeah, just be mindful that a drastic drop in temperature of only 30 degrees can cause you to go hypothermic if you don't have the proper cold weather clothing with you. So
Yeah. And that's specifically for PCT hikers. I mean, also, we live in Colorado, and we have also gotten a dump of snow from the snowstorms a lot lately. So there's been a lot of snow right now.
carry a few extra pounds, be warm, ship it out when you don't need it.
Yeah. Like what we mentioned about our gear loadout last episode is such a different contrast to this year because the snow is way different. We had a very low snow year last year, barely any snow at the beginning, just at Mount Laguna and San Jacinto's, and it wasn't that bad. But this year, it's going to look a little different, so definitely proceed with caution for a few weeks.
And with that being said, should we get into this?
Let's do it.
So these are 4 different categories, but each one boils down to your mental and emotional health when it relates to these 4 different categories. To reiterate, they were the physical, the environmental, social, and the intrapersonal. Intrapersonal, just in case you don't know it, means you with yourself, your own internal thoughts.
Your battle with you.
Yes, this is different than interpersonal.
Intrapersonal. Okay, so physical.
The physical aspects of the trail, really.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the blisters, the sore back, the shoulders with knots in them, the knee that aches, the old high school football injury that resurfaces every once in a while, the pain that you have to deal with. I think it was Scout and Frodo, or was it Scout?
Oh, it was Scout who said it.
Scout said it. The difference between a thru-hiker and a hiker. I may be misquoting you, Scout, but the interpretation is the difference between a thru-hiker versus a hiker is that a thru-hiker understands that there will not be a single day they're not in pain.
Yeah.
Whereas the hiker experiences pain and often just won't deal with it, or they'll just bail out, get off trail because they are in pain and they can't cope with it.
So I think that was a really big thing for me is I thought at some point on the trail, especially like 3 months in, I thought I wouldn't be sore anymore. And I was sore every day, like just muscle sore, just like if you've been working out hard and then the next day you feel sore. I thought that pain would go away at some point, and it never did, even to the end. And in Washington, it didn't mean that we couldn't do higher miles or that we weren't in shape, but your body is just so exhausted, sore, lacking vitamins and nutrients. And the feet, like your feet feel, like my feet, I don't know if everybody's feet feel that way, but my feet felt sore every day. And Sweet Wesley would massage my feet every single night. Because it just relieved the pain of what I was experiencing every day. It was an injury pain. It was just sore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, if you think you're experiencing any emergent pain, something that's serious that could lead to worse repercussions if you just let it go, seek medical attention.
You should, yeah, for sure. Because there are definitely people that got taken off of trail because they were so stressed out that they had to finish in 4 to 5 months because of their visa being international.
Yeah.
And I know a handful of people who were like gunning for the finish because they were so nervous about it. So they were doing 20, 25, 30 miles out the gate. And they started saying they were having pain here, pain there. And then, I mean, some of them actually got fractures and had to get off trail.
Yeah.
So definitely listening to your body is important.
It is important. I think the reason I first listed the physical attributes of mental and emotional health is because that's the first thing you're going to have to really deal with. The first couple days, I experienced blisters. We both experienced sore hips, sore legs, sore feet. I had to pull a tick off me. That wasn't comfortable. But you just experience all these different elements of pain in the first few days. And I'm not saying that you will on your hike. Maybe you're a seasoned vet to through hiking, or you're this crazy intense ultra runner doing 100-mile weeks and you're just in tip-top shape. But for the average Joe Blow, unless you do something on the regular every week, very intense, you're probably going to experience pain.
Yeah, your body's going to have to adjust.
It's going to have to adjust. And your muscles will grow. Your body is going to become this calorie-consuming,
machine,
leg-jacked machine by the time you get through the Sierra Nevadas going Nobo. Some of the pains will never go away, regardless of how accustomed you get to through hiking or how big and jacked your muscles get. Like Base Camp said, your feet will hurt. Your back's going to hurt. on heavy food carries in the high Sierras because you're carrying 7+ days of food and you haven't been used to that in the SoCal desert. You've been spoiled with frequent town stops.
Which is nice. I mean, we didn't end up doing it, and I wish we had, but because we went through the Sierras in May, a lot of people ended up doing a 10-day food carry, and that was like doing average 15, 20 miles in that section per day. And so they were carrying 10 days of food, and that was probably the heaviest food carry, I think, on the trail that people were saying.
Yeah.
And we decided not to do that, which, hindsight 2020, we should have done that, but we didn't.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We learned and grew from it. But if you're going through the Sierras in May, do that 10-day carry. Just do it. Just suck it up and do it. You will thank yourself. Don't go over Bishop Pass. Do not go over Bishop Pass in the winter in May. It's not a safe place. Just go from Kearsarge to, what was it, Mammoth?
Yeah.
And just suck it up. I wanted to transition. I want to talk about blisters because a lot of people talk about blisters. I want to talk about your experience first, and then I can talk about mine. But talk about your experience with blisters.
I started the PCT with the full intent of getting blisters at the beginning and my feet getting calloused and me not developing blisters again after that very rough and tumultuous time. So people went out there with multi-layers of socks on their feet to try and prevent blisters. I chose to just go.
Just do it.
with Darn Tough socks, just one sock. I love Darn Tough socks, and I wore my Ultra Lone Peaks, and that was it. And I probably suffered from blisters for the first month.
Yeah, it was like for what, 400 miles or something, or 300?
Yeah, it was a nice chunk of time.
It was a while.
And after that time, I no longer had any blisters on the trail. Even on our road walk, no blisters. In retrospect, I'm glad that I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sucked at first. I had to do a lot of triage in the tent at night.
Every single night.
Every
had
night.
triage.
I would burn the tip of the needle. I would run the needle through the blister. Sometimes I had to keep a string in there so that the blister would drain if it was very large. And it's just something that I had to do. But I went in fully anticipating it.
Tricks of the trade, by the way.
Tricks of the trade.
Yes. If you didn't know and you get blisters on the trail and you have to keep going every single day and they keep recreating themselves, what did you do? Because I never did this.
I would always sanitize a little threading needle. And you can use hand sanitizer or you can use a little lighter to sanitize it just a few minutes or a few seconds over the lighter. Try and get it in the blue part of the flame. The orange part is, it's just as good, but it'll burn your needle black quick. You just run it through the blisters and drain them and make sure that your feet are more or less clean at the end of each day. Just use a little wet wipe and maybe a little hand sanitizer and you're good.
Weren't you saying you should do that every day? Drain it every day. Don't let it build up or...
Oh, yeah. If you get any buildup in the blister, I would say to drain it.
Can it get infected, a blister?
If it becomes an open sore, it can. So just be careful whenever you're popping your blister not to stab your foot.
And don't open the blister up.
Yeah.
That's what I was good at.
And I never really tried moleskins. I would every once in a while use, rock tape?
Rock tape,
And rock tape works
on
the back of my heel. It would never stay on my feet. And that was okay. About a month in, after triaging blisters each night, I didn't have another blister the rest of the trail.
Where were your blisters, too?
My blisters were on my second biggest toe a lot of the times. And then I would get it underneath that toe. And then I would get it on the bottom of the pads of my feet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So those were my hot spots. But that's because I land on the front or the toes of my feet instead of my heel.
Which is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I picked that up from ultra running. I land on the front of my feet instead of the back. So that's why those were my hot spots.
Yeah.
What about you? What did you do to never get blisters?
So, backstory. I had done an ultra race. It was my very first one. It was 50 miles. I ended up doing 65 because I got lost like 3 times on it. But I finished the race. I came in last. But I finished the race. I
like how you said came in last.
I did come in last. And everybody was so impressed that I even finished it. I didn't bail on it. But
she got the DFL trophy for it. If you don't know what that means, DFL means dead fucking last.
Yes, that's what it means. So on that run though, I developed blisters that were so bad that I actually could not walk, I think for 3 days after.
Yeah.
They developed so big on my running, on the front of my running, my sole, like, what are they called? Your front pads?
The pads of your feet.
So the very middle parts right there. Or just the pads, the middle pads.
The middle of your foot is the bridge.
The bridge. So I developed the size of the blister. What is that? A quarter?
That's $50.
So it was about the size of a $50 or bigger. Were like spread across the front pads, and then they were on the sides. They were in the toes. And they were on both feet. Mm-hmm. And so I literally couldn't move for days. They had to heal. I was crawling to the bathroom to go to the bathroom when I was healing after that. So I was very scared to get blisters after that. So I was like researching a lot about what to do to not get blisters on the trail. And I didn't get any blisters except for one. And it was heading into Kennedy Meadows South.
Oh, and she pitched the fit when she got this one blister.
I was so mad. It's because we didn't stop and air out our feet. So one of the tricks of the trade I learned is that when it feels like you're starting to get a hot, what are they called?
A hot spot.
Hot spot. When it feels like you're starting to get a hot spot, just stop, take a 5-minute break, and take your socks off and let your feet breathe. Because that's actually what helps your feet not get blisters, apparently. And I use some socks. They're called Right socks. Right socks. WRIGHT. I used those for a long time. They don't last very long, but they definitely help. There was something about the layer of the sock that helped with rubbing on my feet. Yeah, so at lunch, I took my socks off and let them dry out in the sun. I wouldn't let them be too wet. Mm-hmm. And then by like month 4, they were so callous. Our feet were so callous by 3 or 4 months in. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even matter anymore. Yeah. I barely took my shoes off even half the time. Big advice is just take your shoes off. And boots are going to cause you so many blisters. Like boots, if you're doing boots in the desert or boots in hot climates, you are going to probably blister pretty bad.
And if you're insistent on boots, I would say get a full grain leather, but don't get waterproof boots.
No.
Unless that's your preference, because they're going to retain sweat. It's going to cause your feet to get wet, and that's how blisters happen. So that's why we were pretty stout trail runner people on trail. Except for in the Sierras, you used waterproof Ultras, and I used a pair of waterproof leather boots. And it did rub a little bit on the back of my heel. But again, by that point, 700 miles, your feet start to callous.
Honestly, my feet got wet a lot in the Sierras. However, we did change. Didn't we get rid of our shoes, or did you keep your boots? I think I got rid of my Ultras and Bishop.
I got rid of mine too.
So when we went over the Bishop Pass, we kind of shaved a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And we just took our trail runners from that point forward because the snow was just rapidly melting.
Yeah.
And
you just dry your socks and shoes out
at night, yeah. Or you just put wet shoes back on and then the next morning.
Yeah.
And I had like alternate socks I used every other day. Mm-hmm. But so yeah, that's blisters.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Oh, the blister.
What's another physical pain that we endured a lot?
I think for us with our heavier packs, the back pain was always a problem.
Back pain was hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and I still have knots in my left shoulder.
Yeah,
from
me
where
too.
I would always try and evenly distribute the weight through my pack, but somehow my left shoulder still got the brunt of it.
Me too, for some reason. And I don't know if that's just the packs we had. I don't know what that was. Or I still to this day cannot fix that problem.
And I think one thing that we both experienced as far as pain goes after the trail is in Washington, we had to do so many traverses across these ridges that were nothing but rock, scree, gravel, and boulders.
Yeah.
And by the time we finished, and a few days when we had just been resting, our feet felt bruised.
Bruised, yes. And we did have to just get out and move every day because the body would start locking up because it just is so used to walking.
We said earlier, our feet hurt during the trail every day, but they didn't feel bruised like that until we were done.
Till the end. That's true. They were almost like swollen and bruised.
Yeah.
I don't know if the body just decided to hold out until the end to really go through that process.
And I think another pain that should be mentioned is just the pain from cold that you experience. your fingers, your toes, even windburn on your face. When you're going through snowy alpine conditions, that's a different level of pain that you don't think about sometimes.
When your fingers, like the tips of your fingers and toes start going numb. And then all of a sudden, like you start getting a little feeling, it's like little needles sticking.
It's like pins and needles,
sticking your fingers and your toes. And that's not fun at all. And so trying to figure out how to problem solve that while you're out there. And I took 2 different pairs of gloves out there with me because I have Reynolds syndrome. So my hands, once they hit cold within 5 seconds, they're starting to turn numb. And so I have to...
That sucks.
I know. I have to like keep them protected at all times and all costs. So
she's not over exaggerating.
It's a horrible experience. But hey, if you have Reynolds syndrome and you're doing a hike in the cold, you absolutely need warmth. Like you have to have something to protect your hands at all times.
Take those damn hot hand packets. Carry a few extra ounces.
I didn't take those hot hands though.
But I bet you wish you did.
No, actually it was fine in the Sierras though. It really wasn't that bad because we were in like 30-degree conditions most nights. So it was okay. I had gloves that could sustain that. But if we got into 5 degrees, that was a really cold night.
Yeah.
In the Sierras. We did have one that was like 5 degrees.
That was painful.
That was very painful.
And we camped by a lake. Why did we do that?
I don't know. And it snowed.
Yeah.
That was fun.
But to bring it full circle on physical pain and just the fact that you're going to be in pain every day, just go into a big trail knowing that. And on the days where you're pretty comfortable and you're really not in a whole lot of pain, count those as blessings. I say this in the article as well, but you kind of just have to become friends with the pain that you experience on a daily basis. And after a while, I'm not going to give you a time frame because I can't even tell you when it started for me, but your brain just starts to register the daily aches and pains as like the norm, as part of the experience. Once you've reached that point, you have officially coped with your physical pains that are not emergent, and I think that will put you one step further towards the success of your thru hike.
Because that's what helped me was hearing scouts say that. Like, hey, you're going to be in pain every day. And what separates someone that actually can complete and finish a thru hike and one that will give up is can you handle and can you just hold that pain with you every single day and understand you're just in pain. Like, that's a part of it. And that really helped me, I think, going into the hike to understand that.
Yeah, and I mean, even for me, whenever I would experience pain, sometimes I would get it out. I'm not going to say I'm proud of it, but one of the easiest ways for me to get out pain that strikes me all of a sudden is to just yell.
Or cuss.
Or cuss.
I cussed a lot.
Or even sometimes she would catch me hitting the bushes with my trekking poles.
Oh my gosh, that was the funniest. So that was something, that's a physical pain, is when we were in the desert, we pretty much bushwhacking in some areas. Like you're just going through the bushes. And I had yoga pants on, so I didn't feel the scrapes and scratches, but Wesley had shorts on.
Yeah, I had 3-inch shorts on in the beginning, and when we would walk through these overgrown areas, the manzanitas would just rake my legs.
Ravage you.
And it hurt. And sometimes I'd be like, just effing go away, and then I would hit the bush. Or the tree with my poles. Thank God I never broke my poles, but
that was funny.
So you just got to expect and anticipate the pain, learn how to cope with it, but also release whenever you need to.
Yeah, you definitely have to.
Who cares if you're hiking with other people and you look like a madman cursing at a tree? Just do what you have to do.
Yelling at it.
Just do what you got to do, dang it.
Oh, here's another one, though, is your toe.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to talk about your toe?
I won't go into detail about it because that was my own fault. It was a stupid call. But I tried to do a water crossing in the Sierras barefoot, and I slipped on a slippery rock. And I heavily sprained my toe. It turned black and purple, and
it's bad.
It ached for quite a while until about Washington from the Sierras. Yeah, just make good choices out there.
Yeah, just wear water shoes or crossing your
shoes. And I think that's a good segue into the next section. You'll have to deal with environmental issues on trail. I want to read you a quick excerpt from the blog to explain what I mean by environmental. On trail, you'll walk through nature, of course, which many call the environment. But when I say environment, I mean everything surrounding you, both inanimate and living. Nature, man-made, walking, talking, etc. Inanimate things are rocks, your clothes, rain, water, buildings, cars, boulders, precipitous ledges, wind, and the list goes on. And of course, some living things you should expect out there include all flora and fauna that call the trail and surroundings home, but also the people you'll meet. All these things, living and non-living, contribute to your experience. Many of our memories from the PCT were filled with laughs, beautiful views, and curious creatures. Though that wasn't always the case, and it won't be for you. And so to that, what I want to say is, yeah, you'll be in the environment. You'll be out in nature. You'll be surrounded by trees, grass, rocks, and you'll have to deal with different types of weather depending on where you are on the trail. Mm-hmm. And I think we can talk about that part of the environment first before we deal with like the people or the towns.
The towns, yeah. And the weather for us, well, at the beginning, we actually hit a hailstorm first week. It was, we didn't have service at all at that part of the trail. We didn't have phone service, and we didn't look it up on our GPS, or we didn't have
a functioning GPS the first week of the trail. So we
couldn't even look it up on there. But we see this massive black cloud with lightning in it coming towards us.
Yeah.
And we're like, I'm pretty sure that's coming our way. We should probably pitch the tent. And we did. We found this nice little nook, and it turned into a hailstorm.
Yeah.
Massive lightning and thunder, and and that was fun.
I think in the SoCal section of the trail, the biggest like environmental hurdle you had to overcome was the heat.
Oh, yes. So, okay, yes. This is what was wild. When we started in March, even the town people told us this was a record-breaking heat.
The town people.
The locals, whenever we go into a town, they would tell us this was a record-breaking March heat month, which I did not like. This is why I wanted to start in March, was because of the colder climates, not having to sweat so much, or electrolytes, and just the sun exposure. And so I had to problem solve like heat big time with electrolytes, salt, getting into shade when I needed to. I'd get really dizzy and feel like I was about to pass out at times. And so when that would happen, I would literally need to sit down in the shade if we could find shade.
Yeah, I think if you're okay talking about it, you would have literal breakdowns on trail. You would stop and you'd cry and you would say, I hate this. I don't want to be here right now.
Yes. So I guess that also goes into mental, emotional too. But I think that the sun exposure on top of carrying so much weight, because we were carrying a lot of weight at the beginning, and those two factors, my body was just having a hard time adjusting. And I would literally break down crying and saying, I don't know if I can keep going right now. I'm just so tired. And it would feel like I couldn't even take another step sometimes. Yeah. And I remember specifically between Mary's place and right before we got to Mary's place, or Mary's Oasis.
It's called Mary's Place.
Mary's Place. I needed water so bad. And it was just it was like 90 something degrees out there.
We called that stretch one of the 7 levels of hell.
It was a 7 level of hell. You could not find shade at all. I only had a thing to put over my head. I was sweating profusely. I don't even think we had enough electrolytes probably at that point.
Probably not. You couldn't even find enough shade for a good poop that day.
No, it was
bad.
That's right. I think I pooped and it was just open landscape that day.
You're like getting a sunburn on your posterior.
It was so bad. And it was just a hot day. And I remember when we got to Mary's place that other people were also saying what a hard day that was. It was just a hot day, sweating. And I remember crying and being like, are we almost there? Because I don't know if I can keep going. I'm so weak right now. I had no energy.
So I know that we got through the desert. We got through the desert heat whenever we finally hit Kennedy South.
I was so over that heat.
So you had to mentally fortify yourself. But how did you keep going? Why didn't you just stop?
I think because I didn't feel like there was a plan B, an option B. There was no quit in my head. So it's I knew that I needed to get it out. I needed to feel it. I needed to cry. I needed to express how I was feeling. But there was never a part of me that said, I need to quit. I think there was a part of me that's I don't know if I can keep going, but that's just me feeling this moment right here. But I think there was just such a resolve already that there was no quit in my head at that point. And so we were just going to keep going. And we had given up a lot to do this hike. Like we had sold everything. We'd taken time off of life. And just, so there really wasn't an option B for us to go back to.
Yeah. I feel like we would get up 2-3 o'clock in the morning and start our hike by 5 a lot of days in the desert. And I feel like on days where we got up early and we were out by 4 or 5 o'clock, that helped you mentally. But the days where we slept in and we weren't gone until 8 or 9 and you knew the heat was just around the corner.
Or it was already hit.
You didn't handle those days as well.
I did not. And I think it was honestly knowing that we were going to be in heat all day again.
Yeah.
That there was no... And when you're out there every single day for that long and you have no shade, like it really does a number to you.
Yeah.
And
it's a mental drain.
It is. But when we would get up really early before the sun got up, we'd already get in like 8 miles before the sun, or 10 miles before the heat would hit.
10 before 10, baby.
10 before 10.
20 before 2.
Yeah. And so it became a game with the sun.
Mm-hmm.
It was like learning, even problem solving. It's like, well, the sun's going to hit hard around 9 o'clock or 9:30, and it's already going to be hot. Yeah. So how do we problem solve then this and then take a siesta?
In retrospect, would you have taken a sun umbrella with you?
No.
No? No. that was a very definitive response.
I don't know. Well, no, because I don't.
I mean, even to just sit down by a rock underneath your umbrella with some shade.
Maybe looking back, maybe I would have taken an umbrella into SoCal. The rest of it I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It felt like an added extra weight.
Yeah, neither one of us took an umbrella.
We did not. And maybe in SoCal it might have been helpful. That took a lot for me to problem solve, was the sun. And it did get better, I think, as we would get up really early. Like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
It would.
Leave by 4 or 5 and be out.
And we didn't have it nearly as bad as people who started
in May?
Late March, April and May.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they had a hot experience. I mean, and
they
like
were
I
cooking.
said, but they did say ours were record-breaking heats. Like we had 95 degrees out there.
It was 101, 105.
101 or 105 in Cabazon.
Yeah, when we reached the underpass at Cabazon.
Yeah, and that was a hot day. So, just to give a perspective, that was in early March.
Yeah.
So then everybody else coming behind us, I felt really bad for them.
I know.
I was like, dang, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
That was hard. And then the Sierras were hard. That was hard for you. I wouldn't say the environment, but I guess we can get back into that mental.
Yeah, I guess I'll touch on that real quick. For me, the Sierras were hard. I was still carrying the same amount of food that I would for a normal day in SoCal, and my body was at a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
And also at a sleep deficit. I do not function well without at least 6 hours of sleep.
He does not.
And the Sierras, we were in the middle of the thaw, so we were up and hiking by 2-3 a.m. just so that we could walk on the first couple inches of snow and not post hole up to our waist. Sleep deprivation was a real problem.
It was a real problem in there.
And I really didn't get that under control until we reached Mammoth.
And I think, too, I feel like the first few months for us was learning a lot.
Yeah.
But the Sierras, a lot of people talk about the Sierras and they talk about how much they love the Sierras, and we were really looking forward to the Sierras. We both knew, though, it's still in snow world, and that's going to be hard. And again, we had been told that May was the time to enter the Sierras.
It was just a hot season.
However, since it was a hot year, the thaw had already started in April, so we were hitting 8 feet of snow in the thaw.
Yeah.
So it hit at a weird time.
Yeah.
So I think that was what, environment-wise, we really had to problem solve.
We did.
The Sierras.
And that's another environmental challenge that we had to overcome. And really, you had to overcome because I was okay with it. Mm-hmm. But water crossings.
Oh,
because
I had such a problem with water crossings.
The water's cold. It'll make your butt pucker a little bit. But you were truly terrified whenever we would see water crossings come up.
Well, and I think, the reason, though, was because it was after Mono Creek. I think the way that the thaw hit for us, and it was hitting at a weird time. So places that people had commented on the trail the year before at the same time were saying stuff like, nothing here, it's barely a crossing. And there was a specific one that we got to.
It wasn't Evolution Creek, because you were okay with that one.
Evolution Creek was fine. It wasn't a raging rapid.
It wasn't.
It was Mono Creek. And Mono Creek, no one talked about. No one had talked about this creek. And I think we hit it at a time where it was 6 p.m., which you're not supposed to hit water crossings around that time because it's all melting.
Yeah, the snow's had all day in the sun to melt.
Yeah, but again, no one had commented on Mono Creek yet. And I don't know if we just hit it right when the thaw hit hard. And that's, and we talked to a lot of our friends that also went around that time and they talked about that one. But it was like this rapid 4.
I don't
Creek rapid.
I don't know rapid classifications.
I'd say a class 4.
Okay.
And this means if you lose your balance, you're getting swept overboard.
Is that the one where you had to hold my hand?
That's the one I asked him if I could hold his hand because we hiked hundreds of feet north south to see if we could do a different crossing. They were all dangerous. It was all intense rapids. There were drop offs.
And when she says hundreds of feet south, you should know that it goes straight down. Like
it goes straight
downhill.
Down. Like you're going to drop off at this spot if you fall.
Yeah.
And so it was a really scary moment. Mm-hmm. And so I asked Wesley if I could hold his hand so that we could cross because I felt like I would have gotten swept over if I had been by myself.
Yeah.
Then, not even half a mile later, we run into a waterfall rapid. So then there's this massive waterfall that is just churning down into another drop-off.
What's the name of that one?
It was also, I think, it wasn't even a waterfall on the map. It just said it was a creek crossing that people, again, had not commented on and hadn't said anything. And they had said, oh, it's just this cute little trickle. And when we got there, I was like, this is a raging waterfall. Oh my gosh. I slipped in it and fell like halfway in. I was so over it. So I think when it came to the water crossings, mentally, I don't know, a lot of females that I talked to also felt the same way.
What was it that was so intimidating about them? Was it the thought of being swept away?
Yeah, I think it was the feeling of losing control. And also it being, because if you're a female, you're a lot shorter. So it's you don't have as much control. And so you're already fully immersed and then you're hoping you don't get swept away.
I've seen some pretty big Norwegian women.
I'm giving general terms.
They put my height to shame, man.
I didn't see a lot of big females out there.
Yeah, freaking Valkyries out there.
Yeah, I know. I feel like all the females, we all would talk about this once the water crossing started.
Yeah.
And how it was like anxiety-driven attacks for females of like, oh my gosh, I don't want to cross another water again. I think those were our worst ones, though.
What about the mosquitoes in Oregon?
And the mosquitoes.
I think we didn't suffer as much as other people did. But people would talk about how they were practically having mental breakdowns, feeling trapped by the mosquitoes surrounding their tent. That must have been difficult for them. I think after the Sierras, the hardest thing that I had to deal with was wet, rainy days because I hate being wet. Yes,
you did not like the cold, wet rain.
The cold, wet rain in NorCal, and then we had it again for a few days in Washington.
Yes,
and
you did not.
It was miserable.
Yeah, which that's another thing that happened in NorCal. So we were meeting my aunt and uncle
just before Donner Pass.
Just before, Donner Pass area, and we were supposed to meet them at a specific day, and all of a sudden the weather turned shit, and it was like super cold. The temperature dropped into really cold, probably 40 degrees.
Just above freezing, yeah.
Just above freezing. And all of a sudden it was raining.
It rained hard all day, and it rained sideways.
And I'm just like, let's go! And Wesley is getting colder and colder by the minute. He's like, should we stop? I'm like, no, let's keep going.
Yeah.
And finally, he stops.
I stopped because this was a stretch before we reached one of the ski resorts. And it was about a 4-mile long ridge walk. Exposed.
Very exposed.
And just the thought of doing that in this hard, cold, blowing rain and the wind was just ripping. It felt impossible for me. And she turned around, and I couldn't see this because, it was happening on my person. But she said that my lips were blue. And I could see that I was feverishly shaking.
I was scared.
And so I was like, I can't do this right now.
And I went, oh, okay, we're pitching the tent like right now.
And so this was at 8 or 9 o'clock, wasn't it?
It was early. We'd only gone a couple miles.
And so we pitched the tent. Everything got soaking wet because we had to pitch the fly before the tent, or the tent before the fly, and so everything was wet.
Everything got soaked.
It took hours to dry out the tent. So we're inside the tent, and I'm still turning blue, and I'm still shaking. And so I was approaching a hypothermic state at that point.
It was scary.
On top of already having food poisoning from eating
something.
Cheese. It was cheese.
It was cheese.
Yeah, be careful how you store your cheese on trail.
Yeah, we ate a lot of cheese on trail, but it was getting warm and hot, and I guess,
And I was kind of loopy at that point, and we were watching Stranger Things that we had downloaded in the tent. And I think that was probably more of a difficult situation for you than me.
I was scared.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, like, you were shaking for hours in your sleeping bag. And I was trying to warm them up, like nothing was helping.
Yeah.
And then you finally stopped shaking.
I finally warmed up. It took a while.
But it did take a long time.
A few hours, but I think it was a good call to stop.
I'm glad that you said something because that could have really been a bad situation. But yeah, you will encounter things like that on trail.
Yeah.
Where it just all of a sudden happens and you have to problem solve in the moment. You have to figure out what you're going to do and listen to your body, because I would have just barreled through and probably gotten hypothermia middle of the way.
Yeah. So what I would suggest to you is to look at the different sections of the trail that you're going to be hiking. Look at the roundabout time that you'll be going through and some of the worst case scenarios that can happen in that type of terrain during that type of season, and mentally prepare yourself. If you at least have an idea of what can happen to you, and even if you just jog your memory on how to problem solve those situations, then you won't go into the state of immediate shock and fear like you would had you had no idea it was going to happen.
For sure. And then the mosquitoes, I will say, we were ahead of a lot of people. So a lot of people talked about mosquitoes. We actually did not experience the mosquitoes in NorCal. We experienced a cold terrain in NorCal. Like, we experienced this weird hot, cold all the time in NorCal.
Yeah.
But the mosquitoes weren't out yet. And then we didn't hit the mosquitoes until middle Oregon, so it was after Ashland and all of that. It was like Shelter Cove, after Shelter Cove area is when we hit them.
Yeah.
That was bad.
We had a pretty crappy patch of mosquitoes climbing up to Dorothy Lake.
Yes, those were bad. I forgot.
Yeah, and that was before Yosemite.
Oh, that's right. So they were already starting to hatch.
Yeah, but they weren't really bad until Oregon.
Yeah. But in Oregon, we had like literally hundreds of mosquitoes. I don't want to downplay though what we experienced, because we did have hundreds of mosquitoes following us, and you had to problem solve again because you just get these bites all over you and they're swarming you. So we had head nets. We found out our rain jackets work really well to put over you. Like, the mosquitoes can't seem to get...
They can't bite you through it, but you're also going to be in your own personal sauna.
Yeah, you're going to be hot.
So it's a trade-off.
I remember one night when we pitched the tent, and there were just mosquitoes all over the place outside the tent. We had like a mosquito massacre in our tent because I think like 30 or 40 got in just from the door opening once.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. We were all deeded up and it didn't matter.
I don't know how cowboy campers did during that time, because that just feels painful.
But then in Washington, the big environmental issues were, I guess, for me, more annoying than problematic were the biting flies.
The biting flies, yeah.
And then the fires.
The fires were bad, yes. The biting flies were not fun. Those hurt so bad. And we had a lot of them.
God, they're just these little assholes.
Yeah.
They're just flying around you. You can't catch them.
And they never go away.
I know. And you have to slap the mess out of your leg to kill them.
Yeah. They don't die, it feels like.
I think one guy had the little battery-powered electric fly swatter out there.
But then he put it in a hiker box.
It ended up in a hiker box, but I bet it was great for a while.
And then the fires, that was probably the most intense. And they're also kind of scary. Well, no, they are scary. Because fires, you don't know what they're going to do.
They're scary because you're afraid of the fact you could be trapped.
Yeah.
You could suffer from severe smoke inhalation. I mean, worst case scenario, you could die, but also you've put forth so much energy and effort to get to where you are in Washington by that point.
Yeah.
That the thought of a fire that you can't control ending your hike, which you'd been in control of, is just as terrible.
get very upset when the environment would stop us because like what Wesley just said, you cannot control the environment. You can't. And I would get so angry whenever the environment would come into our experience, and I would be like, why is it raining right now? Or something like that. And then the fires happened, and I just remember Wesley saying almost the entire hike, you would say, you can't control the weather. You can't control the environment.
No.
All you can control is you and how what you're gonna do with that. I feel like by the end, even though I was panicking when I saw those fires at the end at the border.
Yeah.
I was panicking.
And we'll talk about this later on as well. I know this is a long-winded podcast episode, but whatever.
It's great.
It's good information. When you're dealing with the elements and going on these long through hikes, you have to deal with risk assessment. So you assessing the possible risks and the scene before you, and then risk tolerance. How much of that risk you're allowing to tolerate, or you're allowing yourself to tolerate or not. Do you assess this as too much, and is it unsafe? Should you do a hike around? Should you go back to town and wait something out?
Which people did.
Yeah,
we had a big snowstorm come through the Sierras when we were there, and we decided to go out in it because we were like, oh, we've dealt with snow a lot in Colorado. A lot of people waited it out in town, and really, they caught up with us.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't change anything.
No.
And it's smarter to wait it out, honestly. Like, if you've got a big storm coming or there's a snowstorm, just wait it out. You don't want to be stuck in your tent unless you're already out there. Like, it's not, if you're already in town and you know something's coming in, just wait another day.
Yeah. You got more entertainment in town than inside your tent, so.
Yeah.
And again, we'll talk about the you can't control nature thing later when we touch on intrapersonal. But I did want to say that at least on 2 occasions, we would have hikers tell us that you need to surrender. You need to surrender to the process, surrender to the environment and the elements and what you're experiencing. And I say that is a big steamy pile of garbage.
Wesley did not like that term.
I think it's bullshit. Because, at least just me, everyone has their own process. But I refuse to surrender. I refuse to just give in to that. But what I will do is accept how small I am. I'll accept how uncontrollable the elements are. And I will accept that I'm either in or out of control in a situation. And from that point, I'll make the right call based on how I feel and what you felt on trail. But I think to surrender to it, nah. I'm going to go down kicking and screaming, man. And if you don't believe the same way that I do, that's fine. If you're the surrender type of person, good. If you're in the middle, that's also okay. But in the end, handle the situations how you deem best and what your gut check says.
I guess talking about animals, I had a hard time at the beginning because when you're in a tent and you have no... Like, it's a tent. It's really like
it's a false sense of security.
Yeah, it's a false sense of security. And when you're out there and you start hearing the rustling of leaves, at the beginning.
Or twig snap.
Or twig snapping. I mean, you instantly think there's a bear. It's going to come into our tent. It's going to attack us. And we're going to die. Like, that's where my brain would go every time I would hear. And I would wake Wesley up. He could sleep like a baby on trail. And I could not for the first... Probably 3 months, I think. I finally started sleeping.
Yeah, because you were just so exhausted.
Yeah, NorCal, I was just so exhausted, I started sleeping. But I just learned through that process, I think hiking for 6 months, that animals are
on the whole,
are not going to hurt you.
And they don't want to.
And they don't want to. They want to actually hide or leave you more than anything. And I think when an animal is in the moment of attack, it's because they're so scared that you're going to kill them or hurt them, or they're trying to protect and trying to get something. Like, that's why they attack. It's not from a place of, I just want to kill you because, I want to kill.
Yeah.
Animals aren't like that. They're not, I just want to kill.
Yeah. I can't remember who on trails said this, but humans are associated as predators in the animal world. Because our eyes are in the front of our head, and predators have eyes aligned in the front side of their head, whereas prey, like cattle, deer, they have alignment on the sides. Yes. Yeah. And so why would a predator attack another predator unnecessarily?
So mountain lions, bears, I mean, they really didn't they wanted nothing to do with us on trail.
We never saw a mountain lion.
We did not.
From what I can tell, they're
was a little
jerks, but we never saw one. So we didn't have to deal with that. But we did come across a bear.
We did.
Sweet honey bear. Cinnabear.
Cinnabear. It was a sweet little, sad
We
bear.
turned the corner in the Lassen Volcanic Park. It saw us, and it just moseyed on off in its own little direction, eating some more grass.
It wanted nothing to do with us.
Nothing.
No.
The only animals that came into close contact with us were the occasional baby mouse, like just peeking its head underneath the tent, and the deer. The deer
loved us.
Would come into our tent sites, and they really like to eat your urine because of the electrolytes.
They love your pee, strangely. And what we learned, sorry, I just went into a different place in my brain. But no, what we learned is that in the national parks, the deer are not scared of you. They will approach you. They do not care because they don't look at humans as killing them.
They've been domesticated.
Yeah, national parks actually, you're not allowed to hunt in national parks in California, or really that's anywhere. But you go through a lot of national parks on the PCT, and all these deer would come up to us, or they'd come up to our campsite and they would eat our pee right in front of us. Like it was no big deal.
You would hear this thunderous rooting in the middle of the night, and it's just a deer like hoofing at the dirt.
We had 2 bucks come up to us in NorCal for the whole night, a 3 and a 4-year-old. And they just hung out with us the whole night eating all of our pee. And then the next morning they hung out with us too. It was just so weird. It was a strange experience.
But on the whole, the animals are only as dangerous as your imagination plays them up to be.
And then rattlesnakes. So everybody gets scared of rattlesnakes on trail. I was terrified. I almost got bit by one because it was really pissed. Yeah. And probably everybody had passed it. And it was probably trying to eat or something. It was under a bush right by the trail. And I'm so glad I didn't have headphones in because that thing would have struck. It was like ready to go. But one of our friends, she studied snakes. What's the study of snakes? Azul.
Oh, herpetology?
She studied herpetology. She told us that rattlesnakes do not want to sting you or bite you. Because once they bite you, their fangs actually will get stuck. Like they could get stuck in you or they could fall out. And so rattlesnakes don't want to bite. That's like their last option.
Yeah. And so this poor rattlesnake was on a precipitous ledge, and then there's the trail to the left. So you've got about 2 foot of trail and then a steep mountain. So every hiker had to pass through there, and every hiker was probably pissing it off more and more progressively. And it finally just had it.
Here I come.
Here base camp comes.
And I jumped behind Wesley when I heard it.
She jumped behind me. And honestly, it just, I just talked to it calmly. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it just went downhill a couple of feet and let us pass, and it was doing its thing. Yeah. And we amicably parted ways.
We did. Yeah. And then the other one was a mama grouse. We had a mama grouse in a burn section in NorCal. It was in NorCal. It's right out.
Mama is a goshawk.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a goss.
Yes.
It was a hawk.
Yes, it was mama hawk.
It was a mama hawk after Belden, right?
This is the big climb out of Belden town.
Yes. And we had been reading like comments from other people saying, warning, warning, warning. There's a mama hawk that's dive bombing people. And one of our friends, Mama Troll, had been literally pecked out by it. It had pecked his head. Like I think he had 3 open wounds on his forehead.
Because he never wore a hat.
Yeah, he never wore a hat, and he probably looked up and it came right at him and it just dive bombed him and pecked the shit out of his head.
Poor guy.
I know.
I bet he was throwing some Gaelic slang at him.
I'm sure he's from Scotland, so he was funny.
Gaelic or Gaelic?
Scotland?
I'm not sure.
I thought Gaelic was Irish.
I don't know. I'm really not trying to offend anyone. Gaelic or Gaelic slang? One of those
Gaelic?
two. Scottish slang.
We should ask Mama Troll.
We should.
So that mama hawk, we get to that part, and of course it's on a crazy climb where we're trying to go fast.
It's on the steepest part of this entire climb in a completely exposed burn zone.
Oh, it was horrible.
Sun beating down.
It felt like a video game. And
this is a boss level.
People would comment on the notes and say, if you hear it starting to screech, just duck. So here we go into this section, and you can hear it. It definitely started making noises at us, but it didn't dive bomb us.
Yeah.
We kept our heads down, and Wesley talked to it calmly.
I swear, talking to these animals does
I think
something.
they know.
I think they know.
You're smart.
It's the honey butter voice.
It's that honey butter.
Yeah,
that's what it is. So that was our environmental aspect.
I also want to take this into the next topic of the environment. Probably one of the most beautiful, wonderful, but also scary and intimidating living things you'll encounter out there is people. Humans. And this can be your fellow hikers, day hikers, section hikers. This can be trail angels. This can be the people that you meet in town.
Hitchhiking people.
Hitchhikes. All of these other living humans that you come across, whether they are related to or completely not related to the PCT, they are a part of the environment that you'll experience on trail. Because again, your environment is everything that surrounds you, both living and non-living, controllable and uncontrollable. And to that, I guess we should maybe talk a little bit. I don't want to go into too much detail about people because we covered this more in the social section coming up. The trail environment that you place yourself in when you're out there hiking. You can hike by yourself or you can hike with other hikers. And that can either be a good or a bad environment depending on the people that you are hiking with.
Yeah, and sometimes you can, like, if you don't want to hike with someone or you don't like someone, you can just hike slower and let them pass. Or hike faster or get out of a town. You know, sometimes it happens on trail.
I would say surround yourself with people who bring out the best in you whenever you're on trail. Yeah.
The people you enjoy hiking
The people you enjoy hiking with.
That you laugh with, to exchange stories with, which will bring some of those people onto our podcast.
We absolutely will.
You'll get to meet them.
That's exciting.
Our favorite people.
And then you'll come across trail angels. They'll be at parking lots or trailheads, and they really add a beautiful positive spin to the experience.
Oh, and we should bring them onto our podcast. The ones that we liked, like Abel.
And Chris Clements.
And Chris Hyde.
She was wonderful. Lots of Chris's.
It's true. Yeah, we had some really beautiful people that gave us so much out of the kindness of their heart. It was wild. Do you want to talk about towns?
Yeah, I think we should. But I do also want to real quick mention that whenever you've been out in nature, in the physical environmental world, you can't see my air quotes, but I just did them. And you walk into a parking lot and you see a tent pitched.
Oh.
Like, not a hiker or backpacker's tent, like a big,
Trail
like,
magic.
party tent.
Oh.
And you see coolers and grills out there.
Get ready.
You're like, this is the best type of environment ever.
Just get ready.
Just get ready. Because that's going to change your whole perspective on the day, regardless of what it was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, if you're having a bad day and someone brings in some trail magic and they bring you hot food, burgers, hot dogs, beer, ice cold water, Coca-Cola, ice cream, like, I mean, I can't.
You're making my mouth drool.
I know. I'm like getting excited. I might tear up a little bit just thinking about it.
Are you getting a little heated?
Like a trailgasm?
Yeah. That's a great one, a trailgasm.
Why didn't we think of that on trail?
We talked about foodgasms a lot.
Foodgasms for sure.
That's a real thing.
That is a real thing. When you've been hiking and all you're eating is like ramen and just pastries and
you don't even need to be high for the food to taste good.
Oh my God. When you eat a pizza for the first time in town, you're just like, ecstasy.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, it's a high. It's great.
And then, so you've experienced this awesome trail magic, and then you got to figure out how to get a hitch into town. And you're standing out on the hot asphalt for 5 minutes, several hours with your thumb up, hoping that someone takes pity on your disgusting, filthy, smelly self.
We always had luck in hitches, though. We really did. And I don't know if it's because we were this cute matching couple.
I think a single male would have a harder time than a coupled up.
Yes.
Male.
Females seem to always get hitches faster.
Yes.
And that's a trick of the trade as well, is if you're a male Even males told us this later in the hike, that they would find a female that they were friends with and be like, hey, can we hitch into town together?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing.
Thank God.
People are more apt to pick up a female than a male.
But then you get this hitch, and you're in this person's vehicle, and you're at their mercy, and that can be a scary environment to be in.
You hope they're a nice person.
You hope that they're a good person, that you're not going to get some wacko who makes you feel uncomfortable. We really lucked out with hitches. Everybody we had was pretty solid. We even had one guy who was covered in tattoos. He had like piercings. His hair was green.
And he didn't he have like empty beer cans
he was
over his
shirtless.
car? And he was shirtless.
With empty beer cans all over his car. And honest to God, he looked like the Joker. From Batman.
Oh, and he smelled like weed. He reeked of weed.
But he was such a nice person.
He was such a nice guy. Yeah.
So
he was cool.
So yeah, I would say that hitching is one of the more difficult environments or situations to handle, because
you don't know.
You say yes or no whenever they stop, and you either get in or you don't.
And you really want to get in because you don't know when the next person is going to come and pick you up, or when you're getting into town, you're hungry and you smell. You can't wait to take a shower. Like that's how I felt, at least. I couldn't wait to take a shower and get food and beer. Like that's what was calling me. It's like a beacon of light.
A beacon of light.
It was like a siren.
So just assess the situation of the vehicle, the driver, and the passengers in it before you get in the vehicle. Wait until the next one. If you're not comfortable, the burger will still be there whenever you get to town. Yeah,
but we always had good people.
We always had good people, and we found that most of the folks who stopped and gave us a hitch were somehow connected to a big trail.
Yeah, they knew something about the trail.
They knew something about it, or they had like a brother who would hike the AT or something.
Or they had, already hiked a long trail as well.
Bingo.
It was fascinating to realize how many people would stop for us because they understood what we were going through.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see.
So you've taken your hitch, you've safely gotten into town, and you are in the polar opposite of the nature that you had just been hiking in.
Quiet with birds.
What do they call it? The Iron Jungle or something like that?
That sounds about right.
Maybe. We're going to call towns Iron Jungles.
Iron Jungle.
So you get into town and you have all these tourists or these locals, or these other people who are not hiking that trail with you, and they don't know what you've been experiencing.
They don't understand.
But some of them will.
Yeah.
Which is, they're like diamonds in the rough. It's so reassuring to find people who know hikers or have hiked. And they can empathize with you.
And it's cool, too, when, they'll pay for our meals because they just wanted to hear about our stories on trail, and they'll ask us questions. And then at the end, somebody will be like, hey, so-and-so paid for your meal. And you're like, what? We weren't expecting that. And it was really sweet to see that, too, how people would really... They just wanted to hear about what we had done and the stories. Because it's like some of these people... It's because they wanted to do it and they never got the opportunity to do it, or feel like they never got the opportunity. And so they want to hear, what we went through. They do. Which is cool.
It's always nice to recount your story sometimes.
And we would get hiker discounts in town.
Yeah.
Closer towns that we're in. We were really advocates of supporting local towns, which is why we didn't send ourselves a ton of boxes. We wanted to be able to give back to the communities there. Yeah.
And I think it worked out well.
Yeah, because, a lot of times these hikers are some of their main income.
You get into a town and you're going to stink. You're going to look dirty. And, you're going to stick out. You've got a giant backpack on your back. You've got short shorts on. You've got a golden tan. You've got a godlike body. By the time you get to town, and most people appreciate hikers. They appreciate hiker business.
Most people do.
And you're very rarely going to have a negative experience. But when you do... It's
hard.
It's hard. It'll hit you hard. I don't want to use the word prejudice because I don't think that's a fair word to use, but we experienced levels of isolation and
judgment.
From people.
Judgment. Sure.
Just because of how we looked, how we smelled, and because we were always lugging around our backpacks.
Yeah. And sometimes we couldn't take a shower before, we would get into towns because we didn't have cell service. So we would get into towns and go to a restaurant would be our first thing so that we could get Wi-Fi.
And find a place to stay to take a shower.
Find a place to stay, and we book a hotel while we were eating to then take a shower. So, yes, some people would definitely judge us when we got into town.
But on the whole, we would always be served. and people would take care of us, even if it was to the bare minimum. We'd be served. Every once in a while, we would get like a negative comment or shout from someone in a vehicle. And every once in a while, a restaurant would ask us to leave our packs outside. Unless it is a very small town and you can keep eyes on your pack, I would strongly advise to never leave your pack outside.
Or just eat outside.
Eat outside if you can. But don't separate yourself from your pack if you can avoid it.
Yeah, people have had their packs get stolen in towns. Like, we had a number of people that got their packs stolen. So.
Most people don't know how much the equipment in and on a backpack costs.
Yeah.
But some do.
Yeah.
And they'll just take advantage of it.
I don't even think restaurants know how much all of our stuff cost most of the time.
They don't. Yeah, so be wary of the common thief who's looking for a quick snag. And also,
Sadly.
I would say females probably have more issues with this than males, but be mindful of the people that you meet in town and hang out with, because they don't always have your best interest in mind. You know, you can come across like the common creeper in town. I'm so serious though, because
I know.
there were
I'm just
stories
thinking
about this.
Yes, there were definitely experiences of females feeling very
uncomfortable in town places.
Yeah.
Just make smart decisions on the people that you hang out with when you're in town.
And I think that's what's great about creating a tramily, because then if you are a single female hiker, you do create a tramily, and you have like guys, girls in that tramily that you do hang out with in town, and you get to know each other and hike together. And I mean, we met a ton of single female hikers who they did connect with someone else and hike with them the whole time.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's really smart to be able to create a buddy
system.
Yeah.
And to do the same and hike with tramilies in areas that have like deep snowfall, because those can be dangerous situations, and it's best to go into situations like that with others.
Yes, because I got stuck in snow up to my chest, and I would not have been able to get out without somehow digging myself out of it, because it was so slushy. And so Wesley had to pull me out like 3 times. And so, I mean, if I had been by myself, that would have been a way more difficult situation.
You'd have been snow swimming.
I would have been doing something.
Yeah. So that's enough of the bad of towns and the town environment. We'll go into some more specific examples when we talk about the social dynamics. But about the good. Towns are what you look forward to whenever you're on trail. You're dreaming about the food.
You're dreaming of food.
And a bed and a shower times 5.
Yeah.
And
the
pools. Hot water. Or if it's cold outside, a hot cup of coffee. Or
a real cup of coffee.
Yeah, a real cup of coffee, not instant.
And real breakfast.
Breakfast. Breakfast just hits the best.
Pancakes and bacon on trail with eggs. It's just...
Keep talking dirty.
I don't even know anymore.
Bacon. Oh, girl.
Oh, so good.
I know. Town is where you go to reset yourself, both physically and, more importantly, mentally. Because you need rest days when you're out there hiking.
You do. And
towns provide more of a calm, stable environment for you to do that. You have access to cell service or Wi-Fi or even television if that's what you need.
And then resupply. That is where you then resupply. It's all the food you need to get back on trail, you have to get it in town.
You do.
And so then you have to think about all of the things you have to do with that. And then you do laundry and get all the stuff that you've been smelling in your filth. Get it clean.
You're basically reorganizing, cleaning, and polishing yourself
to then get
to
back
reset, to go back out.
To then get dirty again.
Yeah, but there's a huge mental component to that. We would sometimes plan to go and take 1-0. We would take a second and call it a mental health or mental wellness day. I'm sure you've done the same thing for your jobs. You call in sick.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, vacations, or you call in sick. And to yourself, you're calling it a mental wellness day. And that's a real thing, because mental unhealth can cause you to get physically sick.
And I also think, just to touch on this, that something I experienced is a lot of people didn't want to hear the hardship that we experienced on the trail. They wanted to hear the good, and they wanted to hear how amazing it was, because we're not working. We're not in this grind of society or life anymore. And we're getting to actually just be out in nature all day, every day. And we're getting to be physically active. And there are so many beautiful components to that, I will say. But there are a lot of mental days where you are you are feeling like you're going crazy because you're out there with nothing. You don't have any comforts. You don't have any security. You truly are stripped of everything. And you have to learn how to be in that space. And there are days where it's really hard. And so when you go back into a town and you get real food and you get beer and you get...
Or you go on a date night.
Yeah, or went on a date night. And we got to do something where we got to, just be together and it not be about the trail for, a day or a night. That actually does something for your mental health out there. It really does. It is very helpful. But then we'd be in town and then we'd be like, okay, now we got to get back on trail. After a certain amount of time, your body starts going, okay, we got to go.
Yeah, you hit extremes. You're either like ready to get in town or ready to get out.
Yeah.
And when you're in town, you're either thinking about one or the other.
Mm-hmm. But I do think that town was a haven in most places. It was a place to reset for sure.
And this will segue into the other part of the environment. I think this is really the last component we need to talk about on it. Towns can be dangerous in that there are cars everywhere. Mm-hmm. And you're on roads with stoplights. Most specifically, we didn't have any issues with vehicles in town. Mm-hmm. But whenever we did our, 80-something mile?
114.
Wow, I was way off. 114-mile road walk around the Lion's Head closure.
I calculated the shit out of that one.
We were walking on roads the entire time.
Yeah,
and we experienced a level of anxiety, and I would say fear as well, that we didn't experience on roads in town. Because we're hiking on these very narrow shoulders through Oregon, through woods and through high desert. And there are these giant monsters coming at us constantly that could kill us if the driver loses control.
Or they don't look, or they're looking down or looking at their phone. You just never know.
You never know. And so each car or each big rig that passes, your life is in that driver's hands. And you hope that they see you and that they're paying attention to you.
And something that helped, I think, later in the road walks, like day 3 or 4, was starting to do the honk symbol with the 18-wheelers.
When you pump your arm and the 18-wheelers honk.
Yeah, that actually helped me kind of. The anxiety left me as I would do that, because it was like they were aware of us. They were playing a game with us, and cars around them were aware of us too. Uh-huh. And so that really helped a lot.
It did.
And also, just to give a brief explanation about the road walk for anyone who doesn't know, there was a section in Oregon on the trail. It was closed. It was called the Lion's Head closure. It was because of a fire that had happened a couple years before that.
On reservation land.
And they were still trying to clear it. There were a few hikers that we knew, actually. We knew a number of these hikers, but people were going through it. They had said that it was closed. The National Forest had actually closed it. Or was it the state? I don't know which one it was.
We're just going to say the Forest Service.
The Forest Service had closed it. People had gone through it. So we thought it must be open or it's okay, because there were other parts of burn sections that people had told us they were closed, but we still got to go through them. Mm-hmm. We were all under the impression and assumption that this was just one of those. Mm-hmm. What we didn't know, it was on reservation land. That is what we didn't know. So all of a sudden, we're about 50 miles from where this split will happen, 50 or 80, and we start hearing that forest rangers are taking people's permits and fining them.
Yeah.
So now we're in a dilemma, and we're like, okay, well, we're clearly not going to go through Lion's Head anymore, but we don't want to break our footpath. And literally, there were like 20 people all talking about this. We were all at a table trying to figure out what to do.
At Shelter Cove.
A Shelter Cove resort. And a lot of people were going to skip that section. Some people were going to skip and they were like, you know what, I'll come back in a few years and finish. Some people were going to completely skip it all together. It was like 100 and something miles.
Some were going to night hike it.
And some were going to night hike it and just go through it and not get caught. And then others were going to road walk. Mm-hmm. We had decided that we were going to road walk it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know when we would be back. The logistics that are involved in trying to get back for 100 miles. And so we decided to just take a road around.
Yeah.
And we didn't break our footpath that way. So
yeah. The road walk took us from, I forget what.
Sisters.
Well, the little volcanic watchtower.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what that was called. Something, was it a pass? Or
It was in the middle of nowhere in a giant like lava rock field.
it was right before the 1,000-mile marker.
Yeah, but we took that to Sisters. From Sisters, we went to Redmond. From Redmond to Madras.
2,000-mile marker. Sorry. That was the 2,000 mile
2,000
marker.
mile marker.
Sorry. Yes. And then we took it from
Madras to Warm Springs.
to Warm Springs, and then Warm Springs to Frog Lake.
To Frog Lake.
Trailhead, which is the PCT. That is
Yeah.
the trail. And so a lot of people were getting shuttled by a car from the 2,000-mile marker all the way around to Frog Lake Trailhead was what a lot of people were doing.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see officially the 2,000 mark on the trail since we did that, which was sad. But we did make our own on the road.
In front of a farm. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
2,000.
So the road walk was kind of an
Hot.
intimidating, hot environment to be in.
That's something we didn't touch on in our physical.
We missed the woods.
It was exposing, and it was we got really bad heat rash.
Yeah, we didn't mention that in the physical, but we did experience a pretty intense heat rash, and it continued to worsen because each day we're walking on asphalt that had been exposed to the sun, and so it's radiating heat back on us, on top of us getting cooked by the sun, beating down on us.
And there are no trees at all.
There are no trees on this.
And it was the hottest time. It was 115.
And in Warm Springs, it's just...
Oh, it was
it's
like
a bowl of heat.
It was.
And I think the one thing that made that walk around, well, two things that made that walk around manageable is one, that we knew we were going to continue our footpath and not break it. And two, is that we were more or less sleeping in hotels every single night.
That's what helped. Knowing that we came back to real food.
Yeah.
And a shower. Yeah, was really nice.
Even though the days were painful and hot, at the end we knew that we had
air conditioning
and a shower. And truthfully, that did something mentally to help push us on.
It did.
The only other thing that happened bad on the road walk was, and this is another environmental issue, be mindful of people's dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. We were walking into Madras. These people had
3 or 4 dogs.
3 or 4 dogs behind like a 1.5 foot tall fence. Why the hell do you even bother to make a fence 1.5 foot tall? And a Rottweiler jumped over the fence.
No, they opened up. They broke the fence.
They broke it?
I saw the thing come open.
I didn't even see what happened then.
Yeah.
But
they got free.
All these dogs got free, and the Rottweiler, being the most aggressive of all the dogs they had, like comes up to us. I mean, basically, I had to stand between base camp and the dog. I put my trekking poles up, and thank God that shocked the dog or something.
Yeah.
Because the dog stopped, and it jumped back, and it almost got hit by an 18-wheeler on the road.
Yeah, good thing the 18-wheeler saw what was happening to us. But it went charging after you.
It went charging.
It was going to bite you.
Yeah.
It was kind of scary, yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that would really only happen in towns. I doubt that a wild coyote is just going to come and attack you.
Because we saw a wild coyote in the Sierras.
And they were just chilling.
It just barked at us a lot. It was
chilling.
Yeah. We can talk about that with deuces.
We can.
That was a fun time.
But I think to wrap up the environmental dynamic and just the emotional and... Just the emotional, what am I trying to say? The emotional, I'm just going to say emotional challenges that you'll encounter there. A lot of it has to do with just making the right decisions and knowing before you go. You can't control the weather, you can't control the elements, and you can't control what other people do or say. But what you can control is how prepared you are for the weather, how you react to adverse situations in the wild, and who you put yourself into contact with on a daily basis. So surround yourself with preparation and good people, and you will be on your way to success on the PCT.
I think problem solving is a really big key
to
all of that.
Huge.
Because you're going to have to problem solve constantly. You're going to have to adapt, adjust, because everything around you that you can't control is going to come at you.
Yeah.
And you've got to figure out what you're going to do about it. And if you are going to help yourself in that process. It really does come down to what do you need in that process. Yeah.
You remember in school and college, you have those tests and quizzes where they give you a bunch of questions, but a word bank. You get to pick from one of the words on what goes as the answer for that question.
Oh, yes.
I think if you do enough research before you start your trail, whichever one it may be, as long as you have a bank of knowledge that you can pull from in a situation, even if you're not an expert in it, that will help you. Mm-hmm. And you'll know and be able to come to the right decision and call for yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I guess that would transition us to social.
Which we will talk about on the next episode.
Do.
Dun, 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 dun.
Stay tuned to be continued.
Yes.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening to our episode of
Yeti
Walks into Base Camp. We're your hosts,
Yeti Legs
and Base Camp.
If you want to follow along on our social media or our YouTube channel, which we are trying to keep updated daily, you can find links to that on our profile page. And please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this podcast. And as we say in the hiking community,
Happy trails.